Thanks for tuning in. On today's show, let's take a trip back in time, all the way to 1940. It was the 40s. Average cost of a home was $3,950. The 1940 World Series matched the Cincinnati Reds against the Detroit Tigers, the Reds winning a closely contested 7-game series. Renting a house would cost only $30 a month. Imagine, in 1940, you could get 3 cans of Campbell's tomato soup for only 25 cents. You could enjoy that cup of coffee for just 16 cents. You could even get a radio for just $16.95. And to drive your car, a gallon of gas, just 11 cents. The President of the United States was good old FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt. And for vehicles, this 1940 Chevrolet Business Coupe could be purchased for around $850. Times, they may have changed, but this 1940 Chevy was amazing. Let's listen to her story.
Welcome back to Brock's Garage, episode 8. Hey, I'm here with my friend Dave Watkins, and we're here to talk about his 40 Chevy Business Coupe. And we're here at the local truck stop in honor of actually the previous owner of this car, which is his uncle. Dave, tell us about your car.
So that's a 1940 Chevy Business Coupe, belonged to my uncle Chris Cambich. Uncle Chris unfortunately passed away last June and left me the car, and I've been honored with bringing the car back to life and getting it back out on the shows and getting it back out in the public eye.
Yeah, I've known Chris Cambich for decades now, and he was always a great guy. We went to many car shows. He was the president of the Knights of the 99. For those who remember that car club, the Knights of the 99, we went to a lot of shows together. Went to a lot of shows with him in this car, as a matter of fact, and really honored to do something for him and you also. Reference his car. So you got it in. It was in pretty bad shape, you said.
It had been sitting in the garage for several years, and it was covered in a pretty good layer of bird poop and dust, and it just needed some love. It needed to be gone back through. I had to get it running again, and it's just been a labor of love putting it back together, getting it back on the road.
This car has always been this color since I've known it for 20-some years plus, and so. This is actually you said a semi-truck color?
It's a Peterbilt color. It's a fleet Peterbilt color.
That's just like Chris, because he was a truck driver. For those who know Chris, he was a truck driver, and that was what he did.
It had to be something that had to do with get tied in with trucks for Chris.
He was a great guy. So I see some lights up front that you changed out right off the bat.
So I'm kind of a light freak. So anything that's LED, I have to change it. Right or wrong, I still have to change it. So
it's very cool.
I did the LED headlights. They have turn signals integrated into them. The LED lights underneath the car, the LED tail lights, LED lights inside. Anything that's LED, I'm going to change it.
So was it really hard to get it back to running?
It had been a while. I had to basically had to rewire the car, and then had a dual point distributor. I never could get it to run right, so I changed out to an HEI. I just had Chad Tucker at Tucker's Garage up in Napavine. I had him go through, he did new gear drive, new cam, new water pump, all the suspension in the front's all brand new, the bearings are new, brand new dual exhaust, 40 series 3-inch Flowmasters, and it sounds amazing.
It sounds really healthy.
The motor was built by Britco, and that's been probably 20 years ago, but it might have 5,000 miles on it.
What size motor is it?
350.
350.
350 with a turbo 350 with a 10-bolt rear end.
Really?
It's all 1940 Master Deluxe independent suspension underneath the front of it. It still has drum brakes. It's got updated front hubs, so it's the small 5-lug pattern on it rather than 6-lug. But everything underneath is all 1940.
I just love the stance of this car. This car has always been really great.
It's a classic that'll never ever get old. But to me, it looks beautiful for an 80-year-old car.
Yeah, it's awesome. So tell me about your small block Chevy you got here, Dave. That's pretty cool. First off, I love the air cleaner.
I was pretty lucky when I found the air cleaner up the Puyallup swap meet, and he had a bunch of black ones, and I seen the one purple one in the box, and I said, I gotta have it. And he said, no, that's our display. And I said, I don't care, I gotta have it. I've never seen anything that matches the paint on the car perfectly.
Perfect.
Absolutely. It's a Chevy 350 Edelbrock carburetor, Edelbrock intake, high flow aluminum water pump. All the chrome accessories like everybody else does. It's nothing. It's not a high performance motor, but it is definitely not stock. But it's just meant for cruising. It's just a super nice car to drive down the road. With it still having the independent suspension from 1940, it can be kind of a handful to drive in the ruts, but it's still just a super fun car to drive.
And you don't have any issues with the overheating or nothing?
I got a little bit of a heating issues on a warm day. If we're going to do some parade stuff, it can get warm, but that's just another one of the little bugs we got to work out.
Oh, that's just kind of typical. When you build power, you build heat.
That is true, and this is an all steel body, so it's not like you have a whole lot of places for hot air to go out.
Oh yeah, it looks great though, Dave. And it sounds awesome.
It's been an absolute pleasure for me to have this car.
It's awesome. Love it. So man, Dave, I love these fenders on these cars and that running board look. That's awesome.
These are all steel too. This is original fenders for this car when it originally came out in 1940. So the fenders are 80 years old. You can buy an aftermarket reproduction fender that's 3 inches wider for the rear, but this is just a classic look for this car. The running boards, everybody goes to smooth running board. This is a nice throwback to an original 80 years ago. It just turns out it looks good on this car.
It looks great. What's the interior look like?
So it's got an original seat, been recovered, reupholstered, respringed, of course. Late model steering column, but other than that, everything in this car is pretty much like it was back when it came out 80 years ago. There's not a whole lot that's changed other than the carpet. The original gauges work.
Cranks all look good.
Everything still works. The choke knob, the heater controls, all that's all original. It all still works.
And I see Chris has still got you still got Chris's.
You can't get rid of Chris's
teddy bears up there.
For bears and teddy bears on the gas cap on the other side. It's got a little hand painted teddy bear on the other side. And this wasn't just Chris's car. This was Aunt Debbie's car too.
Absolutely.
Chris and Debbie. This was synonymous. It was Chris's cars. It was Chris and Debbie. Everything they went, it was Chris and Debbie. Knights of '99 was always Chris and Debbie.
Yes, it was.
That was just the way it was. Debbie's still around. Debbie's actually been a part of me putting this car back together and getting this car back on the road. Debbie was actually riding in this car with me 2 weeks ago when I picked it up from Chad at Tucker's garage, and she said it drives better now than it did back when. But Chris was very notorious for getting not so much preventative maintenance, just maintenance to get something by.
Get it there, maintenance.
Get it home.
Yeah.
Get it to the next show, but it's been a definite labor of love. I don't mind a bit crawling underneath this car at the end of the day, and I love working on driving it, and now with the new work we've done on the motor, just the attention. Little kids go crazy for it, and that's the biggest thing is watching people's reactions. I can imagine what it was like for Chris to drive this car all those years, all the shows he went to, and all the people's reactions, and now it's just a little step up from what it was when Chris had it.
It's awesome, man. I mean, you just don't see these around.
No, they don't exist very much
You just don't see them. And this is just, I know it's been in my hot rod life for 20 plus years, 25,
Absolutely.
since the
Mine
90s.
too. I idolized the day that Chris let me drive this car, and then to end up actually being honored to own it I would have never thought this would ever happen.
Oh, sure. And you're right about Chris and Debbie being together in this car all the time, as you always saw them together
Absolutely.
at the shows. It was always that way.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So Dave, you were talking about this being a business coupe. Can you show us what the business end of this business coupe is?
Absolutely. So you can see, obviously it's been updated a little, but these are a little difficult sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But you can see how big this trunk is. So you can imagine, Uncle Chris obviously never sold Bibles.
No.
We all met Chris.
That's funny.
But you had plenty of room to move stuff to one side or the other side, and there was a double deck, so you could stack things down there. The fuel tank isn't in the bed, in the back of this thing. That's what gave these things so much room.
Oh.
The fuel tank is actually behind the seat.
Oh,
In
wow.
the front, so which then it levels this whole thing out, which gives you plenty of room. That wall right there could be taken down, and that leveled it out, and you had plenty of room for a 6'5" person to sleep back here.
That is awesome. I mean, look at all that room in there, man. That's crazy.
It is a ton of room.
I love your exhaust on there too, by the way. I just got to point that out.
Just had that done at Muffler Man. Daryl hooked me up with that, and it's 40 series Flowmasters with 3-inch all the way out, and it just gave this. It's always sounded good. I wanted to keep that sound that Chris had, but I still wanted to have something more, something updated. And then with the new work to the motor, it just complemented it that much more.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Really killer sound on it. And you did some upgrades on the lights, right?
These are LEDs. It had blue dots in there before with glass lenses, and the bulbs there was a couple times I almost got rear-ended, and I said that it was enough of that. I gotta update the LEDs, and it made a big difference. You can definitely see them at night.
Oh, it looks good. It looks really killer. Original bumper, right?
It is original bumper. And back in the day, there's actually a CB antenna mount. You remember back when we used to go?
I
We
do.
used to go to car shows.
I do.
We all had to have a CB and a rig so we could all contact each other.
That was it.
Hey John, thanks for having me out today, going over Uncle Chris's car. It's a huge, huge honor to have this thing on here for Dad.
Man, I appreciate you being out here, Dave, and bringing the car and telling us stories about your uncle, man. He was an awesome guy, and I really miss him.
I do too.
So, hey, if you guys have stories that you guys want to tell us about your car and your story, check out the link below, and let's make it happen. Appreciate you, Dave.
Absolutely.
Catch you guys next time on Brock's Garage.
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Contact John for more information about featuring your car on this show.